Early humans were not the strongest or fastest creatures in their environment. They faced enormous challenges every single day, from finding their next meal to protecting their families from colossal predators that roamed the land. To survive, they needed to be clever. They needed to use their minds to create tools that could give them an advantage. This fundamental need for survival was the driving force behind the invention of the first weapons. These were not just tools for fighting, they were essential instruments for life itself, allowing our ancestors to secure their place in a very dangerous world. A weapon in the hand of an early human was the great equalizer. Imagine standing before a massive woolly mammoth or a fearsome saber-toothed cat. Without a tool, you're simply prey. But with a sharpened spear, you suddenly have a chance. You have reach, you have a point that can pierce thick hide, and you have a way to defend yourself from a safe distance. This simple yet profound shift in power dynamic was everything. Weapons allowed early people to hunt animals much larger than themselves, providing a rich source of food, fur for warmth, and bones for more tools. It was a game changer, turning fear into a calculated risk. Beyond the hunt, weapons were crucial for protection. Early human groups often competed with each other for resources like water, food, and sheltered caves. In a world without laws or police, a well-crafted axe or a sturdy club was your best defense. It could protect your family, your food stores, and your home from rivals. The ability to defend your territory meant you could create a safer space for your children to grow and for your community to thrive. These tools provided a sense of security, allowing people to build more stable lives instead of constantly being on the move, fleeing from danger. So when we look back at these ancient implements, we must see them for what they truly were: keys to survival. They represent human ingenuity at its most basic and most brilliant. They show us how our ancestors adapted to incredible pressures and overcame immense odds. The spear, the axe, the bow, these were not just objects of violence. They were symbols of resilience, intelligence, and the unyielding human spirit to endure and conquer the wild. Understanding this is the first step to appreciating the incredible journey of humanity from the Stone Age to the world we live in today. The earliest weapon makers did not have fancy workshops or modern materials. They had to use what nature provided, relying on their knowledge of the world around them. The most basic and important materials were right under their feet: stone, wood, and bone. Wood was plentiful and easy to shape. A long, straight branch could be sharpened into a simple spear or hardened in a fire to make it more durable. It was lightweight, making it perfect for throwing or carrying over long distances during a hunt. Wood formed the foundation of many early weapons, providing the handle for an axe or the shaft for an arrow. Stone was the true champion of the ancient world. Not just any stone would do. Early humans searched for specific types like flint, obsidian, and chert. These stones have a special quality. When you strike them in the right way, they break with very sharp edges. This process, called knapping, was a highly skilled craft. A skilled knapper could produce a razor-sharp edge capable of cutting through animal hide and flesh with ease. These stone points could be attached to wooden shafts to create deadly spears, or used on their own as knives for butchering animals. The Stone Age is named for this very reason. Stone was the critical technology of the era. As human knowledge grew, our ancestors discovered the secrets hidden within the earth metals. First came the softer metals like copper, which could be hammered into shape. This was a huge leap forward, but copper weapons were not very strong and would bend easily. The real revolution happened when they learned to mix copper with tin to create a much harder alloy bronze. The Bronze Age brought forth stronger, more durable swords, spearheads, and shields. These weapons could hold a sharp edge for longer and were more reliable in a fight. They represented a massive technological advancement. Later still, the mastery of iron changed everything once again. Iron was more common than copper and tin, but it required much higher temperatures to forge. Once blacksmiths learned how to control intense fire in a furnace, they could create iron tools and weapons that were superior to bronze. An iron sword was tougher and could be made sharper than any bronze blade. This technology spread across the world, giving armies a decisive edge and marking the beginning of the Iron Age. From simple stones to mighty iron, the materials for weapons tell a story of human progress and innovation. Creating a weapon from raw materials was a careful step-by-step process. Let's start with a simple stone spearhead. The craftsman, or napper, would begin by selecting the right piece of flint. This was a crucial first step, as a stone with hidden cracks could shatter and waste hours of work. He would hold this core stone in one hand and use a harder hammerstone to strike off large flakes. This initial shaping was about creating a rough, triangular outline. It required strength and a good eye to see the potential shape hidden within the raw rock, much like a sculptor sees a statue in a block of marble. The next stage was all about refinement. The napper would switch to a smaller, more precise tool, perhaps a piece of antler or hard bone. With this, he would carefully press against the edges of the rough stone shape. This technique, called pressure flaking, allowed him to remove tiny, thin flakes of stone. With each press, the edge became straighter and sharper. This was delicate work that required immense patience and control. The craftsman would slowly work his way around the entire stone, creating a symmetrical point with serrated, saw-like edges that could tear through flesh and hide effectively. Once the stone point was complete, it needed to be attached to a wooden shaft to become a spear. The craftsman would find a straight, strong branch and carve a notch in one end. The stone spearhead would be fitted snugly into this notch. To secure it, he would use natural materials as glue and rope. Tree sap or resin could be heated to become a sticky adhesive. Then, he would wrap the joint tightly with sinew, the strong fibrous tendon from an animal, or cordage made from plant fibers. As the sinew dried, it would shrink and pull the joint incredibly tight, creating a strong, reliable weapon. The process for making a bow and arrow was even more complex, requiring different skills. The bowyer had to select the right kind of wood, like yew or ash, that was both strong and flexible. He would spend many days carefully shaving and shaping the wood, tillering it so that both limbs bent evenly. The bowstring itself was made from twisted animal gut or plant fibers. Meanwhile, another craftsman would be fletching the arrows, attaching feathers to the back of the shaft to make them fly straight and true. This division of labor shows how weapon making became a specialized and vital craft in ancient societies. Looking at these ancient weapons is like opening a window into the past. They are more than just primitive tools. They are historical documents carved from stone and wood. By studying a spearhead, we can learn about the resources available in a specific region. For example, an obsidian spearhead tells us that the people who made it either lived near a volcano or were part of a long-distance trade network that brought this valuable material to them. The design of the weapon can also tell us what kind of prey they were hunting, whether it was large mammoths requiring a heavy spear or fast gazelles needing a lighter, throwable javelin. The evolution of weapon technology mirrors the evolution of human society. The shift from simple clubs to complex bows and arrows shows a growth in cognitive abilities, planning, problem-solving, and understanding physics. The transition from the Stone Age to the Bronze Age and then the Iron Age reveals major breakthroughs in technology and social organization. Making bronze required trade to get both copper and tin, which means societies were interacting and cooperating. Crafting iron swords required specialized blacksmiths, suggesting a society complex enough to support artisans who did not have to hunt or farm for themselves. These artifacts also give us profound insight into the human condition. They remind us that the struggle for survival has always been a part of our story. They show us the creativity and resilience our ancestors possessed, turning the raw elements of nature into tools that allowed them to thrive against all odds. When you hold a replica of a stone axe, you can almost feel the connection to the person who once depended on that tool for their family's next meal or their safety through a long, dark night. It's a powerful reminder of our shared history and the challenges we have overcome as a species. Ultimately, learning about ancient weapons is not about glorifying conflict. It is about understanding the journey of humanity